Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having an absolutely fabulous day wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. Here in Australia, it's very early in the morning. It's 8 a.m. here in Australia on the Gold Coast. So it's a beautiful time of the day to be up. So, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're heading towards the evening, I hope you've had a fabulous day. It's been a really, really interesting week astrologically. I mean, my inbox has been jammed. I mean, my emails, my SMSs, people asking me why on earth, Amanda, did this moon, this lunar eclipse, why did it affect me so much? Why was I sort of so affected by the eclipse and the new moon? And it's such an interesting thing because we all tend to sort of think that we're very much in control of our emotions, and then something like this happens and it just shows us as human beings how vulnerable we are to the lunar planetary configures that happen, constantly. I mean, because the moon only stays in a cycle for approximately 2.5 days. So when you're looking at something like that, with the moon being the fastest, if you want to classify it as a planet, it is known as a luminary, the fastest moving planet or the luminary in the whole of the zodiac, it's probably just as well when we think of the influence it can have on our emotions. We wouldn't want to walk or swim in this energy for weeks on end or months or years on end. So it's probably a blessing in disguise that it does move so quickly. So if you caught up with me on last week's show, we had the eclipse and the new moon in Capricorn, but I also sort of informed everybody it would take us through not just our normal 7-day sort of build up the new moon and then the wind down of the new moon up until, I believe this time, until the full moon in Leo, which is going to be the 21st of this month. So if you're still feeling a little bit of the effects of that, there's nothing much more to worry about it. It is tapering off. We will start to feel normality back again. So that leads me into the usual way that we kick the show off, where we talk about the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week I'm really proud and excited to say this is the actual highest card of the tarot deck. This is the High Priestess. And this is actually one of my ultimate favourite cards because she wields such wisdom and such power. Now, the meaning of the High Priestess is the highest card of the tarot deck, very powerful. Now, very powerful can be either in a good way or a bad way. But most importantly, I think the High Priestess has secrets yet to share with us. And I feel that's the most important part of this card, that there is areas of our lives that have not been revealed to us. So it's a time now to be very aware of that there can be things that are going to be revealed in the next 7 to 10 days that we need to be very aware of. We need to say to ourselves, have I really got to the bottom of the issue? Am I fully understanding everything that's being presented with me or shared with me? There may still be some secret hidden agendas there to come out. So for those of you that might be new to the show, I feature a card each week from the Simply Tarot deck that was released worldwide back in 2005. Now, this is still my favourite deck. As you can see down the bottom there's a very basic meaning written there to help those that are first studying or first learning the tarot. It does come in a kit form. So if you're interested in looking at some of the tarot kits we have for sale, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. So let's get down to business on the show. So as I said, I mentioned that we've had, we're still under the new moon in Capricorn sort of influence. We've got Jupiter sitting in Sagittarius, which is asking us to sort of really sort of step up our game, start to try and bring about into our lives some of the new opportunities that we hopefully want to achieve this year. It's a time of great expansion, opportunity. It's a time to really sort of think big, create your own luck, regardless of what your star sign is. Obviously, yes, it's more prevalent for Sagittarians and Leos and Aries because all being fire signs, but it filters all the way through the zodiac that anybody can achieve anything this year if you really do the work and put yourself in a position to be noticed or have those opportunities. It's time to sort of try and create your own luck. So it's going to be a very powerful, interesting year, I believe, astrologically. We've only got to look at the things that are happening worldwide on the global stage in the political arena. And, the USA, you've got Trump with his shutdown of the government. Over in England, you've got the Brexit. Here in Australia, we've just got them all running around madly trying to sort of convince everybody they're the party we should be voting for in a few months' time. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. There seems to be some political unrest. And people keep asking me, why is that the case, Amanda? Look, there's a number of reasons for that. I keep going back to Pluto and Capricorn, who will still be there till 2022. And his job is to completely transform things, is to bring things out into the open, to break up the old habit systems, to get us to think a different way. Now, this is in the house of Capricorn, which is the house that actually rules governments. So it is there to transform things. And sometimes to transform things, we've got to bring things out into the open. We've got to break things up, bring them out of the darkness into the light. And in that can be a very, very uncomfortable period of time while people have to sort of find a new way of looking at what's important to them. But the trigger for this, or the opportunity for these things to be brought suddenly out of nowhere, or seemingly being different or crazy or not the way that I would have done it, is coming from the planet Uranus, which is like a bolt of lightning, which is sitting in Taurus, which is, if you're vaguely familiar with astrology, anything that's in an earth sign going to another earth sign, or any sort of one of the four elements, it just means that it eases the way. So it's known as a trine. So we've got Uranus, the planet of opportunity, sudden, unexpected, like the bolt of lightning, is sitting in Taurus. So it's trining or making it easier for anything connected with Pluto and Capricorn. And also joining Pluto and Capricorn, besides the Sun at the moment, which will be only there for another week or so, we also have the planet Saturn. Now, Saturn's the planet of discipline. He's the one that wields the big stick and says, no, you can't do this, and yes, you can do that. But Saturn's job is to also bring stability into our lives, to bring some structure, to bring some order. So we've got Uranus creating the openings, sort of creating the brainwaves, the ideas, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. Pluto coming in behind and sort of saying, okay, in which way can we try and transform? Which way can we try and resurrect something? Which way do we need to bring something out of the darkness into the light? And then you've got Saturn sort of coming along and saying, okay, now we've got all this information on the table. Now we need to put it into some sort of order, and we need to get some sort of structure in our life. Now, it's not just saying that for people in the political arena or connected to politics. It's asking each and every one of us, these three planets, to look at our lives, to look at what needs restructuring, what do we need to let go of, what do we need to do to build a much more solid foundation underneath each and every one of us for not just now, but for the future years ahead. It's a time to look at our finances, our budgeting, our debt, all those sort of things. Is there something that I need to let go of? Is there something I can take better control of? Is this the year where I'm going to get myself out of debt or out of personal debt, and only leave the major debt of the house mortgage and sort of everything else is paid for? That's a really good goal, I think, that we could all be working towards. I truly do believe that we all need to look at our personal spending and see if we can't bring that under control. If each and every one of us around the globe could do that, I think then we could sort of really wield some power when it comes to the political people that run our nations, and show them we mean business, that we want everything back in a manageable level, that everybody's living within their means, including them. So anyway, that takes me on to my famous person of the week. If you've been watching the show regularly, we have a little astrological segment each week where we look at someone famous on the astrological stage. And this week I'm pleased to say we're up to our female actress in Cancer. And this week I've chosen Meryl Streep. Now, most of you would know Meryl Streep. I mean, she's been in some amazing movies, and probably one of the most recent ones was Mamma Mia, and that was fun and full of frivolity. And I think just about everybody's at least watched that movie at least once, if not twice. It's one of those feel-good movies that you can go to and have a little bit of a giggle and a glass of wine and sort of just unwind. It's not too deep, and it's something that sort of everybody takes something different out of it. But most of all, it's a bit of fun and a bit of happiness and sort of light-hearted relief that I think we need from our busy lives. Meryl started her acting career very, very young. She actually sort of started out on the stage, and it was interesting because one of her first performances on the big stage in theatre, she actually won a Tony Award for that. Now, that's not an easy award to win, let alone your first time out, your first venture in a professional production, that you win in a coveted award like that. Meryl's gone on to win many, many awards over the years, and she's done a diversity of films, and she's a very good character actress. I mean, she's one of those actresses that can go in something that's fun and frivolous like Mamma Mia, and then step out of that and go into something that has a really deep, powerful sort of message to sort of send home, and, go from the diversity of, jumping around the place, singing and dancing, to sort of into the jungle and sort of, producing films like Out of Africa, which was one of my personal favourites with her in it. I mean, she played such an amazing, deep role in that. But Meryl's also really famous for her ability to be able to master the language of another country, that she can put an accent on, that she can change the whole of her voice to a way that is completely unrecognisable from her normal speaking voice. So I really sort of take my hat off to Meryl. She's been one of the inspirational women of the world who's never got herself into any sort of scandal. She's been the perfect, role model for young women to aspire to. Here's a woman that's achieved it all, done it in a way that her ego hasn't got in the road. She's been able to be a mother, and she's a mother of 4 children. So she's been able to juggle a career, her home life, being a wife, a mother, and being there for her children, but still being able to give a lot to her industry and the things that she loves to do and the passion that she has for the stage and for filmmaking, and always making sure that everything that she's put her name to has a message or a reason behind it, even if it is only about fun. But I think that sort of makes her a very versatile actress and somebody that we'll probably never see again in our lifetime, somebody that can bring to the stage and the film and the screen such diversity. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks as we head into the busier time of the year in some ways, because once we come out of the Capricorn energy on approximately the 22nd of this month, it's almost like the year really kicks off in earnest then. The January month, or the Capricorn energy just prior to Christmas, is when we sort of all start to slow down. We breathe a sigh of relief. Yes, we might start looking at pulling things together in our lives, but we sort of take a bit of a breather and sort of slow everything down, that we can sort of catch our breath and sort of just sort of say woo to the horses and slow up a little bit and sort of even stop and then re-energise ourselves to get ready for the year ahead. So by the time we get into the Aquarian time, or the beginning of the Aquarian time on the 22nd, I think you're all going to start to feel a little bit restless and start to have lots of new ideas beaming in and out of your minds and sort of almost not being able to sit still. You're going to be raring to go and do something different with your life. Now, we're going to take our first caller, and this is Robin in Boaz in Alabama. Are you there, Robin? Hello, Robin. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Okay, Robin, can you give me a question to work with, please, sweetie?
Okay, I was just curious to know if the relationship I'm in is one that I'm going to be in for a lifetime.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting question, Robin, because I feel at the moment the relationship is going through some adjustments. There's areas or pockets of the relationship that you're not particularly comfortable with, and you keep questioning. And this is why you're questioning, is this the right relationship for me, long-term wise, not just the here and now. I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. I don't think any of us, Robin, really know whether a relationship is the one we're going to spend to death do us part. We go into situations hoping that to be the case. And I feel a good relationship goes through its peaks and troughs. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways, it goes introverted, it goes extroverted. So I think it's healthy for you that you are asking these sort of questions, because you're not just being complacent and accepting everything that's there in the relationship. You're questioning and saying, can we make this better? Is some of these issues, are they beyond our control? Are they things that we can't sort out or work through or come to a compromise or a place where we're both comfortable with it, even if we don't agree? I think part of what's going on in the relationship, Robin, is that you're growing at a very, very fast rate in yourself as a person. You've been working on yourself and you're sort of making improvements and you're making changes, and you're less tolerant now of the things that once upon a time you would have said, oh, well, it doesn't matter, and sort of, let it go. Now you're sort of saying, hang on a minute, that does matter, that does bother me, and I want change, or I want answers. So this in turn is creating a few more hiccups in the relationship than what would have been there previously, because of how you're not being as tolerant. And I'm not saying don't be, I'm saying this is a good thing, because you're honouring yourself. So your partner, your husband now has to now look at and say, hang on a minute, Robin's changing. Am I prepared to change to go with her, or is this going to be the end of our relationship? I don't think he wants it to be the end of the relationship. I think he's just a bit overwhelmed and a little bit bamboozled that you're sort of not the same person that you were even 3 months ago. And he's sort of scratching his head and doesn't know how to keep up. So having said that, I still believe that there's a lot in this relationship. I think it's just going to be a little bit of a tricky dance for a while things sort of realign themselves and become the new normal. So I hope that's helped you, Robin.
Say what now?
I said, I hope that's helped you.
You did.
Good. So is there anything else I can help you with today, sweetie?
No, ma'am, that's all.
Okay, have a great night. Okay, so that was Robin. So it's an interesting subject, relationships, because they're always very tricky about how do we get around the changes that come up from time to time in a relationship. And any good relationship or marriage or union will always have some times there where there's rapid growth spurts. It's like a child, you know, they don't come out fully grown. They've got to go through the trials and tribulations and the changes to go through from, you know, infancy through to toddlers, through to preschoolers, to early school and then high school and then off to university and becoming adults. So a marriage or a good solid relationship goes through those same sort of stages, but it's in the term of a relationship. So sometimes that can be sort of difficult too for us to understand, because we tend to sort of think that we get into a relationship and it's exciting and it's everything that we've ever wanted it to be, and it's always going to be that way. We don't sort of bargain on that it's going to evolve, it's going to grow, there's going to be things there that we don't particularly like, and there's going to be situations that we're going to need to be more compassionate, we're going to need to be more understanding, and then there's times we're going to need to stand up and fight for what we believe in too. So sometimes that's is not always an easy thing. So I feel now that we need to sort of look at what we want as individuals. And I think that's the message for 2019. And I've been saying this to most of my clients over the last few weeks. It's a year now where we need to put our own needs first. Now, I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean that we have to look after ourselves first, make sure that we're eating properly, we're getting enough exercise, enough rest, and doing the things that look after us. Then, only then, can we start to look after someone else. We can't look after someone else or be everything to everyone else if we haven't taken the time to look after self first. So we're going to take our next caller, which is Christian in Jamestown, New York. Are you there, Christian?
Yes, it's Kristen.
Kristen, I beg your pardon, sweetie. How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
That's okay. I'm hoping to get a message from someone who's passed.
Okay. Darling, I can't always guarantee that on the show because it takes a little bit of time to sort of connect in with people. Do you have a question that I can answer for you? And if they want to step forward with their input, they will. Do you have something that you need answered in your life now?
Not really. No, I just someone just recently passed, so.
Okay. When somebody recently passes, there's no guarantee how quickly they go through to the other side. Some people claim that, you know, people can go through to the other side in a matter of hours, and sometimes I believe it takes years before they complete their journey from Earth through to the other side where they're in a position where they can come through and share a message with us. What I can tell you is that there's never been anybody that's ever come through from the other side and said to me, I'm not happy, that I hate it here and I want to, you know, it's not what I expected. Yeah. They always come through with a very similar message that says, I'm at peace, I'm happy, I'm no longer in pain, I'm not suffering. Yes, I'm upset that I've left you, but other than that, I'm complete again, I'm whole. So the person that's just left you, I think, would be giving us the same sort of message that they're at peace now, they're not in, you know, there's nothing that I just sort of feel that this person that you're trying to connect to, did they leave in rather an unusual situation? Did they? To me, it wasn't a normal sort of like old age or I was sick and people were expecting this.
Yeah, it was a definitely unexpected death. We still don't have the official results as to what caused the death. So it was definitely an unexpected death.
Yeah, because he's just showing, and I felt it was a male, he's showing me just question marks around his death, like you're still questioning what happened. Like, I don't have answers yet. And he doesn't have answers either, unfortunately. That's what he's sharing with me, that it was sort of like I was here 1 minute and gone the next, and like he's still trying to get his head around what sort of actually happened. I don't know that by him not knowing what happened is necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes, even the person that's passing is protected from whatever the situation or the circumstances may be, because it would be too traumatic or too painful, even on an emotional level, not just on a physical level. And, this is why sometimes I think it's taken away from them, that he's not ready yet to deal with how he passed, as you have not got the answers yet. So from that, I'm going to say to you, don't be alarmed. Don't be, yes, please go through the grieving process. I think that's very important, and honour this person and always remember them. But also don't get too upset that you don't have any answers yet, and that he doesn't have any answers. He's comfortable with that. He's okay with that for the moment. He's just dealing with the fact he's no longer here on earth. That's his major thing that he needs to accept and adjust to at the moment. He still loves you. He's sort of showing me pink hearts, so I'm taking that as a loving message, not just, it's somebody that I cared about. He's sending me this beautiful love message. I'm also going to say to you, he keeps showing me a blue car, and I don't know how this ties in.
A blue car. Neither of us had a blue car, so I don't know.
No, I didn't feel you did. It's like he's plonked this blue car in front of me, but it's given me nothing else around it. But yet I didn't feel an ownership to that. I'm going to say it's a rounded car, not necessarily a VW, but it's that sort of shape, that sort of curvy, sort of rounded sort of shape. I don't know what that's got to do with anything.
He had a white car that's kind of like what you're describing. It was, a shorter car. It was made by VW, so I don't know. It wasn't blue.
Okay, well, I don't know why he's showing it to me in blue, but that's what he was showing me. And whether that was just to get my attention. I mean, sometimes when they're sort of new to the other side, they struggle with sort of trying to get the symbolism right of what they're trying to show me to what I get, you know what I mean, to be able to pass on to you.
Right. Oh,
maybe the blue.
Yeah.
The blue is maybe talking about his energy. He's feeling blue without you. You know what I mean. But the message of the rounded sort of looking car. So I know he's going to start communicating with you, and I know he's going to start coming to you in a dream form more than anything. And it mightn't be anything.
I've wanted that, and I haven't been able to have any dreams. I don't think I've had a dream. So yeah, but darling, there's no bus timetable for this. You've got to understand, when they go through to the other side, they grieve all of us. We've lost one person, they've lost all of us. So they've got to work through their, like our earthly emotions on the other side. Then they've got to sort of build up their energy so that they can start to make contact with us. And it's not whether or not they were a believer in the other side or the afterlife here on earth, does it make it any easier when they get through to the other side. I feel it's a process. And so far, he hasn't been able to make that connection. But what he was showing me was that's going to be his strongest suit. He's going to be able to come to you in a dream. It may not be of anything of great consequence. It mightn't be answers to questions you've got. It just might be that you see him in the dream, and he looks happy and he's having a cup of coffee. Well, that's okay. I mean, it's any connection is good connection. That's what I'm trying to say to you. And when time goes by, the dreams themselves may fade away, but you'll get other connections with him that you'll just know is him. It could be a song on the radio. You could be watching something on the television and all of a sudden you feel him. Don't ignore those things. Acknowledge it out loud and tell him that you know it's him and that he's there and you love it and all those sort of things, because the more we acknowledge out loud that we know they're there, the stronger we actually make them, so that they can connect more with us. And, sometimes when people go through to the other side, they become quite funny in the way that they do things. They mightn't have been a comedian here on earth, but all of a sudden they'll start to do things that they know get your attention, either annoy you, like moving the photos because you like them all a certain way, nice and neat, and they'll move them to one side. And that annoys you, but that they're getting your attention. Do you see what I mean? They like to do things to get our attention. And it isn't always
about giving us a message. It's just saying, hello, I'm here. How are you today? You know, they love to do things like that. And, you know, things like flickering lights, the radio going on for no reason, or the television, or the doorbell going off and there's nobody there. That's all the sort of fun and games they like to do, because it's a way of getting your attention. If for some reason he starts coming through at 2 o'clock in the morning and giving you powerful messages that you've got to get up out of bed and write down, just ask him, can you have it at a more reasonable time in the day? You know, like set aside a time that you're going to sit down quietly and that he can connect, because they do love to come through at that time of the morning too, because they've definitely got our undivided attention. But we have to train them that, you know, we need our sleep too, that, you know, like I'm happy to talk to you at 7 o'clock at night, but not at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I feel he's going to be a regular visitor, because he's coming through so strong and with such a cheeky smile that I don't think he certainly hasn't left your side. Let me assure you, he hasn't left your side. But I didn't feel that there would be answers to his passing until about June. Is there some sort of investigation going on?
Well, they had an autopsy done, so the paperwork, you know, won't be back for another, you know, 3 to 6 months. You know, they weren't really sure.
Right. Yeah, he was just showing me a big 6, and I didn't think it was 6 weeks. I took that as being the month of June. That sort of we get answers then. I'm not saying it's going to be any easier then to read what the answers are, but it seemed to be that's when it was, or around then. And look, just know from the little bit that he's shown me what he knows, which is virtually nothing, he's just telling me there was nothing anybody could have done.
Okay.
Like it was no one's fault. Okay. Nobody could have done anything any different. It was random. That's all he knows. Okay. Have you, that car we were talking about, he keeps taking me back to the car, and I don't understand that. Do you still have the car? Was it just something he talked about a lot, but he keeps taking me back to the car?
Well, he left his car. His parents currently have the car. The only thing that I can think of is before he passed, we were taking a trip, and he said he got a Christmas present for me in the car. And he said, don't try to find your Christmas present. It's in the car. And his parents cleaned out the car, and they claim they've never found a Christmas present for me. So
no, well, he's still telling me it's there. No. That's why he's going on about the car. So maybe it's wrapped up in blue paper or something. That might be the blue car thing, because he keeps telling me that there's something to do with the blue. Anyway, sweetheart, I have to leave it there. We're just about out of time. I wish you luck with all of that, and just keep smiling, sweetie.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely to have everybody with. You're very welcome, sweetheart. Have a great night. So we're just about to wrap up the show, so I look forward to seeing you all again next week. For those of you that want to join me over on Facebook Live on Amanda Hall, we're going into our Sun in Capricorn workshop. Have a great week. Bye for now.